It's about 10 after 5, and I thought, well, heck, let's just do this. While there's still daylight outside, let's just go ahead and talk about this. So I'll give everybody a few minutes to come on, and then I've got to get back to what I've been trying to do. I've been trying to wash all these baby clothes. So this morning, AWP put out the video footage, which I was amazed it came out this quickly. But then again, they're a private entity. So I guess they have high music. I guess they have some flex there. But I'm amazed they put the footage out this quickly. But I also think there's a reason they put the footage out this quickly. As soon as I got the notification, I went over to the AWP site where I'm a member, and I went to watch it. Because you all know the biggest thing to me has been the behavior of these teenagers, how abnormal it is from a psychological standpoint for a tragedy to occur and for them to adopt certain behaviors and take on certain roles and completely skip certain pathways of grief and areas of grief, and the arrogance that I felt that they were, showing with their behavior. So I went straight to the AWP site and watched the video because I'm a member. I was amazed, first off, that the first thing they showed was an interview with a young man who was an emergency roadside assistant in Truckee, California, who had had contact with Kylie, I guess, at 11 noon the day before she went missing, right before she went missing. So I guess roughly 12, 13 hours before she went missing. He stated that she acted as though she were, had had a rough day and was not quite right. I was asking him very basic questions about how do I put my seatbelt on correctly? How do I make sure it's connected correctly? So she was asking questions that a 16-year-old who is driving a vehicle should know how to put on a seatbelt. And then he said that there was a young man with him, and he was the emergency roadside assistance man was 6'3". And he said this young man was just shorter than me, had on a flat bill hat, and he had hair that stuck out from under it. He had a few freckles or acne on either side of his face. And whenever he was talking to her, the boy was on the other side of the vehicle, and if he moved, they were never standing the same place. He said there was obviously some tension there. Why have we not heard this from law enforcement? Why did we not know that someone had contact with her that soon before she disappeared at that area with a male with her? Why has the public not been given this information? Why, if there's potentially a person who is a dangerous, perhaps potential, person, why have we not been told, especially the people that live in Truckee, California, why have you not been informed that there was someone seen with her who could possibly, potentially be responsible for something? Now, AWP asked him several times, did she act drunk? Did she act intoxicated, high? He said she acted hungover, or like she was just kind of discombobulated, basically. But she was not asking the correct questions, and she was asking stupid questions that she should have known the answer to, which I feel was probably her trying to indicate, I need help. Women, let me tell you something. Now, I'm a big old heifer. I ain't never been in many places where I don't feel safe, because I'm a big old heifer. I'm a bull in a china shop. If you want to have a problem, I am prepared to have a problem. If you weigh 110 pounds soaking wet, learn how to protect yourself, because, honey, you got knees and sharp elbows too. Learn how to protect yourself. Learn pressure points. Learn the most sensitive areas on your opponent. Learn how to take care of yourself. Women of mothers of little girls that are growing up, teach your little girls how to be lethal. You will be very happy you did one day, because then they are not at the mercy of anyone. I know it's like, oh, why would you want to teach your daughter that? Because it may save her life one day. Because we know routinely that 70% of violence occurs male on female. And we know that it is the most rampant form of violence in our nation. Teach your little girls how to protect themselves. My daughter was handling a weapon when she was 7 years old. She was a crack shot by the age of 9. She can handle any gun in our arsenal with complete competence. It's not just for little boys that hunt. You've got to train up your young women to take care of themselves. So I feel bad because I feel like her questions to this emergency roadside assistance man was purely indicative of her trying to get his attention, asking these stupid questions to let him know there's something wrong, because obviously I wouldn't be asking these questions. I'm driving this daggum vehicle. I should know how to buckle my own daggum seatbelt. I think this was a missed opportunity. Something had occurred. There was tension going on here, and this was a missed opportunity for this young man, bless his heart, needed to be trained better. He should have picked up on it. He should have just at least called law enforcement and said, this was odd. I don't know if it is anything, but this was odd. Do you know why her vehicle would not start? It was in neutral. And I'm pretty sure if you're driving a vehicle, even if you don't know how to drive a stick shift or anything, I'm pretty sure you know how to put your car in park to start it. So maybe she had disabled herself to call roadside assistance to get aid. Maybe she was uncomfortable. Just a theory, just the way my brain works. I'm thinking about everything. But I think that there was enough indicators in their conversation, their communication, that the roadside assistance guy should have picked up on it. And he was like, I didn't put anything together. He's like, till a week later, I was running around town and saw these flyers. Okay, young people of the world, pull your heads out of your butt and pay attention to your actual physical surroundings, the people that live in your community, the real interactions that you have, the real physical world. Pull your head out of the butthole of the metaverse and be really here and present. It can save a life. It can save your life. I'm so astonished at how absolutely blind people are willing to be in this day and age when we know how dangerous people are. Who are the biggest killers of human beings? Other human beings. We know how dangerous we are. We know how dangerous we all are. And yet we have these young people walking around just blind, stuck in these little phones, stuck in this metaverse that Zuckerberg has created to make us all stupid lab rats. Well, if music, she says some people are saying that the roadside assistance guy is Sammy's ex. If there is like some kind of contact there or past relationships there, I'm sure since AWP is out of this, that law enforcement should get to that, and that should be known. But why did law enforcement not question this man? If there was on record with roadside assistance that come in contact with her, they have to log the vehicle plate. They have it on camera. He has to pull his truck up to where it films him assisting the people. They have it on camera. He has to log their tag. He has to log the problem. It has to go in the system that he made the call and helped the person. Hello? Why are we missing so much stupid, blatant right there in front of us in this case? Is it willful? Is it willful ignorance? Is it willful blindness? That's what makes me think. I mean, you can miss one or two things. Everybody can miss one or two things. But how do you miss all of these things together consistently over and over in one case? I mean, these are things you learn as a department through all your cases so that you don't miss them all in the same case ever. I mean, you should be trained to adequately to handle these things. So that boggled my mind. The one thing that I did verify from the AWP video is that the back window was halfway down and the driver's side back window, like the back hatch window was halfway down and the driver's side back window was halfway down. and she was located in the back. One question I had was, did the dive team that took over from AWP after they located the vehicle, did they net the windows? Because I saw them put a tarp over the windows, but I saw no nets on those windows before they drug the tarp out to put on. So did they net the windows? Because that's how you lose evidence. So again, protocol, regulation. Why are we missing these things? I have a lot of questions that just have a huge question mark above my head. And you all know I said when I watched the presser and her parents are sitting in the corner, her parents look betrayed. They look as though they feel betrayed. The emotion I'm reading from their body language is disappointment and betrayal. So the father was actually there. AWP did notify the family first. And as I've said before, I think that was loyalty done for a reason. Because normally on an open investigation, you contact the cops first. AWP is private, so they have a little bit of flex there. They were called in by the family, so they can say, hey, we were hired by this entity. We're just assisting you, and we owe you nothing. But they normally should have called the cops first, but they called the family first. To me, that shows respect and loyalty. That tells me there's a reason they did that first. And the faces of the AWP crew, when they found this, even the one guy said it looks suspicious to me. But they were all confused. For like 20 whole minutes at the end of the video, they were all confused as to how this could be overlooked. So everything that I have kind of picked up on was just substantiated when I watched this. And they did start elsewhere because they said, oh, we've checked this, at length. So they thought, well, we'll start elsewhere. So they started in, I think, the Donner Lake or reservoir. They went other places. They looked for any potential off the road avenues where accidents could occur, any place where, somebody could be pushed in. The only other viable place where something could be pushed in at depth was right across from a fire hall, which means somebody had to be really stupid to do that right in front of the fire hall. So they were like, we're going back to the very first because we have to tell the family that we've checked everything. So we're checking this. And literally they put their boats in, and in 30 minutes, I believe it was Nick, saw something funny because a new wreck does not ping correctly on sonar. It reflects differently because it doesn't have a lot of silt or a lot of growth, overgrowth, and it's not sat and accumulated crap to really give a solid ping. But there was enough that they saw something that made them go back over and check. And sure enough, they dropped a magnet and it stuck, which meant it was not a boat. And you could see their faces just right then and there. They knew. And I think they knew because that was where she was. She was less than 0.3 of a mile from the party site, which was visible. Visible. And if people had been parking on the beach and around through there, how did she drive a break-ass speed to the lake and miss everyone else? I mean, and there's a hairpin kiss your butt curve to get to that road that goes off that point from the campsite. So how did she navigate that hairpin kiss your butt turn and then drive at breakneck speed and miss everyone else that had been parked on the beach? It doesn't make sense. But here's an interesting fact. Had she floated about 10 to 25 more feet out, she would have been in the deepest portion of that entire reservoir. Now, is that dumb luck or is that planned? You have to ask these questions. You have to have okay, I want to know this. I'm writing this down. This is a concern. Make a black and white list. Put it on paper and constantly question these things. Oh, yes, Margaret, there are so many questions that have got to be answered. Yes, there's nefarious, as Ryan would say, nefarious. Yes, there's something nefarious going on here. Creative Tater, they actually did go ahead and sonar quite a bit of the lake, and it was pretty plain. And because it's a reservoir, it has a pretty deep grade and it pings pretty good. And they didn't see anything else that concerned them. But had she floated, had she just gone out a little way longer, and that vehicle just floated a little bit more, she would have been in the absolute deepest portion of that reservoir. Now, here's my question. How would a teenager know that? How would a teenager know that? Now, I can see if they grew up on the lake, fished the lake, boated the lake, had a lot, but normally that is something that people that work rescue squad, law enforcement, fire department, search and rescue, that's things that they know that really public doesn't always know. Maybe some of the older generations that spend a lot of time in these reservoirs fishing or doing stuff, maybe they may know. But it's not really something that a bunch of young teenagers at a party would know to immediately just, do something like this. So how did they get her almost to the deepest part of that reservoir? Because if you ask me, this is foul play. This is foul play. The fact that she was asking the roadside assistance guy how to buckle her seatbelt tells me she probably always wore a seatbelt. The fact that the windows were down, and this was 12:30 a.m. when this occurred in a high mountain town where everybody was wearing hoodies and it was cold. It has a lot of questions that allude to foul play in my mind. And that's just where my mind's going. You may have a completely different perspective. I keep thinking this is a state park, which is always why I'm like, why are the feds there? But it is a federal park, and that's why the feds are there. But I don't know. I just have this horrible feeling about all of this. And the thing that really got me was the shared recordings of the phone contact with the family. And the relief, but also like they already had the knowledge that she was there. They already had the knowledge and the assumption that this was what had happened. So, but isn't it funny that the roadside assistant man says there was a male with her, which has been, it's got to be on his dash cam. So he surely wouldn't lie when there's video evidence. And he said he had a straight bill hat and his hair stuck out under the hat, but it wasn't long. Who matches that description? And who did I say, no, he's not winning. He's not winning my vote. I have questions about this. And who posted on Instagram so oddly that he wasn't there to control her dumb ass from doing something like this? And no, all that, nope. That does not mean that to me, that does not express love or a solid relationship or a foundation of respect. That all sounds so weird to me. That is not how you talk about a loved one you lost. I have a problem with that. I think this boy needs to be taken in and questioned again. If it were anything I was dealing with, I would be like, get me in here again when you talk to this boy. But now that we know now that there is video evidence of someone being with her that day, because previously it was said that Jagger was not with her at all that day, right? Like it had been like a day or so since he had seen her. So now we know we have roadside assistance camera. Maybe that's why he was playing the circle around the vehicle and try to hide from the camera. Maybe. I thought it was funny that every time there's an interview, Jagger's standing next to a girl and he's looking at the ground. No eye contact. And he doesn't want to be questioned. And he looks terrified. So that always struck me as odd too. And then the girl saying, we made creme brulee. I would have handed her a torch and said, strike that puppy up and show me you know how to make creme brulee, you little hussy. I mean, I would have been like, do it now. And now if she turned it on and chinged it, I'd have been like, okay, you might make creme brulee. But, these are really simple tests that you could have given these children. So, yes, when the cop hesitated, that absolutely, I was just like, oh, we don't know something. But to me, it looks now like there was some kind of altercation. There was tension because there was an altercation. I've told you all that in that picture where the kids are all standing there, they look like they're standing there waiting for someone to address them and then tell them they may leave. They look like they're in trouble. They look like they're at a high school assembly and they're fixing to be berated for behavior. And then they're going to be told to go home and act like young men and women and stop this crap. That's what that picture says to me. Because they've all got their hands in their pocket and they're all looking down. They're not partying. They're all looking down like, oh shit, we're in trouble. I mean, body language is a big thing. Shoulders are humped, heads are down. And the few kids that are moving are in rapid movement like they're terrified. It's not party behavior. There was not a smile amongst them. I dare you to go look at that picture and find one. Not a smile amongst them. So I have an issue with that picture of people saying it was a party picture. It was not a party picture. That was a tense, that was a tense gathering. But the psychology of these kids has been off from day one. And then it was noted that parents had picked up their kids and told them to keep their mouth shut. Parents, way to be role models. Way to tell your kid you can get away with anything in life if you lie and you're an asshole. How about we say, let's stand up and be a good person. Let's be the good Samaritan. Let's be the responsible party, and let's tell the truth so this family doesn't suffer the rest of their life. So this little girl gets her closure in death. How about we do the responsible, correct thing? Pick up your child and say, shh, don't talk to anybody. No, I picked up my kid, had him by the ear, and said, if you saw anything, you better by God tell somebody right now. I don't understand. I don't understand why we have such an irresponsible group of adults living in America. No, I do too. I do too. It's because we're all disconnected by the stupid internet, and we forget that people are real, and what they go through is real, and their emotions are real, and what they feel are real. We don't think anybody's real but ourselves, and the few people we come in contact with, we can detach from and then pretend they're not real. Ghosting is a thing. We have grown into the most vicious atrocities that plague this planet I have ever seen. Hey, JoJo. I'm sorry. I've not said hello to everybody because I'm just irritated. I'm irritated. My mama hackles are up, and then, my law enforcement anger is really irritated because there's so many breaches of regulation of protocol. And if you look at their land search, they're walking side by side in little clusters of 4 or 5 talking. Hello, 10 foot apart, eyes to the ground, doing this. No, your land search was pathetic. And I that's just coming from me. Your land search was pathetic. And it was freaking flat land. It's just like, come on, people. But we have a very big issue. The battle in America is not necessarily a political battle. Okay, they create that malarkey so that we can blame behavior on something. Okay, that's just an out. That's just a scapegoat. That's just a way for people to justify what they do. I'm going to get my political party to win so we get the nation back on track. You want to know what's going to get this nation back on track? Love. Loving people, respecting other people's lives, respecting humans on a basic foundation of your life. Therefore, you get the same respect I get. I love you. None of this is gonna change if we continue to detach and become farther and farther apart and keep forming little tribes that hate each other and keep teaching our children that hate is an okay emotion. Now, there are times for aggression and there are times to be aggressive, but you should not walk through life in hate, because if you walk through life in hate, well, you open yourself up to some bad mojo. Let me tell you, in my Cherokee roots, if you walk in hate, you will eventually never be able to walk in love. So you take that path so long to where it gets you so messed up and it takes so many turns, you never find your way back to love. And I can't imagine any parent would raise their child to also walk in that path. And I'm sorry, 300 plus children at a party. What are the parents in this small, super small area doing? Where are you people? You don't have to low jack your kids or something. Do we not know how to parent anymore? There's so many things that boggle my mind to this. Hi, Katrina. I know that flat bill hat may be the break of all this. I mean, that emergency roadside assistance filming may be the tell-all. It may lead police to know, hey, something was up in advance, and now we have probable cause and a potential aggressor. If they look at that and they see absolute tension and they identify her behavior as odd and perhaps trying to get attention and trying to get attention without saying, hey, help me, because maybe if she said, I'm scared, she thought the crap was going to hit the fan. Hey, little girls, scream, help me. Scream. If somebody grabs you, scream every obscenity that a sailor would say until somebody notices. I told my little girl, because she was so tiny growing up, I said, listen, if somebody ever grabs you out in public and tries to take you away from me, you scream every bad word you've ever heard your mother say, and you scream it at the top of your lungs. She was like, what? And I was like, you do it. And I was like, I know, I've taught you a few. She was like, no. I was like, you do it. Because people will turn and look at a little precious blonde-headed girl screaming sailor mouth stuff before they'll, look at anyone just screaming. Teach your children how to get attention. Teach your children how to stand out. Teach your children how to look and look at a crowd and kind of glance and see people of interest, people that are potentially, not on the up and up. Teach them about predatory body language. I mean, you've got to do better work, parents. You've got to do better work. And you can't just leave your children out at all hours of the night. My granny used to say there wasn't nothing open after 12 o'clock except for, what was it? Gas stations and legs or something like that. And it cracked me up. But the woman was right. There's nothing happening good after about 11 p.m. if you're a young person out. And you don't have the emotional capability to handle most of those things that do take place after 11 p.m. if you're out participating. So a lot of this is being aware, changing the way communities pay attention to each other, making parents aware of dangers, and making parents aware that, something, law enforcement is not the end all be all. Crooked people are everywhere. People are purchased so easily. People are bought so easily. There are people that have badges and should be heroes that have black hearts that will do more damage with that badge than you can ever imagine. You have to be able to discern the difference and put people in positions of power that are good people with good hearts and have good motivation. And that means you have to really get up somebody's crawl and get to know them. And that means we can't be at this length and think we know everybody from the internet. You've got to go to community meetings. You've got to interact personally with these people. You've got to test them with questions and behaviors and really push their buttons to see what they're made of. We've got to start putting better people in control of our communities, people that we can actually trust. I think this is just an overall failure. If you blatantly ask me what we're looking at, and this is the first time I've said this out loud, though I've said it in dialogue with Ryan and a lot of other people. I've been asked several times via messenger and talking, what are we looking at? I think we're looking at an area where a lot of officials are bought and paid for. Something else is going on. They turn their eye because they're busy handling something else that's doing something else for them. And a lot of crap happens. And they're not paying attention because the bread and butter is not coming from the real job. So now we need to look at that a little bit more intently and see if something there is going on. We know that there are issues with the sheriff. He's had past allegations against him. Those were deemed to be unfounded, but past behavior is the best predictor of future behavior, and we need to be aware of that. Everyone should know that. I'm appalled that a sheriff that was investigated, even if he was found not guilty, if he was investigated of stat rape, I'm amazed he then, just a couple months later, won an election. Blows my mind. You think people would want to kind of fill him out for a year or two to see what's going on there. But we have to be more aware. And so, yes, I think something happened. I think there was tension. Something happened at the party or before the party, and it came to a head at the party. And emotions got out of hand. Physical behavior got out of hand. And something horrible happened. And sadly, this young girl paid with her off. And even more sadly, the people that saw it, witnessed it, heard it, knew something was going on, were told to shut up by their parents. Don't give any information. Don't get involved. How about we change the world and we start to get involved again? I mean, is that such a bad thing? Is it such a bad thing? And this was the smallest of towns. This should be where bonds are the strongest. You know, and yeah, they were putting up posters everywhere, but they were telling their kids to withhold information. Don't tell anybody you were there. Don't tell anybody what you saw. Why is there such distrust in that area? Why do they not want their children to go forward and be investigated and talk to law enforcement and tell what they knew? If your child's innocent, you have nothing to worry about. Why do we not trust law enforcement? That tells me there's a deep-seated issue in that community, and it needs to be looked at deeply. I mean, even they even handled the stat rape investigation on the sheriff so inappropriate because they did an in-house investigation. If you ever got an officer named in any case, you have to recuse your department and bring in an outside investigatory agency. So the fact that they tried to skirt the issue on that one tells me not the most open up people. Shame. So yeah. You know, and then everybody's like, oh, this breaking of this. Listen, 12, 13 days ago, I brought out the information about the sheriff and all that crap. Nobody just pays attention to me because they're like, oh, that's just a little chubby mama that likes to craft. I do like to craft, but I say important things. And just because I don't put a flashy background and theatrical music and you know, try to get lots of views doesn't mean I'm not saying important things. But you see how people in their eyes and themselves are drawn to the glamorous, the outstanding, but also the very empty. I was putting that information out 2 weeks ago. So I feel horrible for this family. I think they know. I think that's why their little resort is up for sale now. I think they know they got to get out of this place. There's going to be no happy life there at all now, not from remembering the loss of their daughter and also not from knowing what has occurred and how poorly they were let down and betrayed by who should have been the people that stepped in to be heroes. I also think that they know that 300 to 400 children and their parents are pissed at them because their kids are now accessories. Well, you know something? It's not their fault. It's you stupid parents' faults for letting your kids go to that stupid party. So accountability, personal responsibility, people, let's try it. Let's put it on. It's uncomfortable, but you know something? It will change your life. It will make it a lot better after you get over the uncomfortable hump and you start to see how it works. Life gets better when you're accountable. So I think that that's probably why their place is not for sale. They know they have to vacate. It's just sad. Yeah, there was a lot of misleading. Yeah, like the two hoodies, and there was a lot of stuff that was just like, what is that? That doesn't help. And yet, this emergency roadside assistance man who came forward immediately for AWP and whose information had to be on file with at least a county or state agency, depending on how they're registered and licensed, all that was there from the beginning. Did we all get any indication of that? Nope. Could it have changed a whole lot of things? Yup. Is it going to change things now? By God, it better. They better be reviewing that footage and seeing who that is and identifying them and questioning them because something was apparently up during that roadside assistance. I mean, there are too many red flags. Her car was in neutral, but she said it wouldn't start. And then she started asking about, well, how do I know I have my seatbelt on correctly? How do I make sure it's affixed correctly into the latch? She was acting distressed, discombobulated. And the man even noted the strange behavior. He thought she was hungover, just having a rough day. But he also noted that the two were never standing next to each other. And there was tension. I know the man was young, but hello, training should have said something's going on here that needs to be called in immediately, and these people probably need to be questioned. Something's not right. Is this woman in distress? Is this man not supposed to be with her or scaring her? hindsight's 2020. But I have to say that the roadside assistance man, I know he's young, but that was a failure. That was a failure. And I know this will be something that will probably weigh on, if he has a good heart, this will be something that weighs on him heavily. I don't know if he fits into it some other way, or if he was told to keep his mouth shut. I don't know, but thank him for at least talking to AWP. But he should have called it in to his superior and been like, this was weird. So I have a lot of questions. I know that I have stuff that I know will never be answered. I just don't know what next step they're going to take now since AWP put this out. And I really think AWP released this to push it, because I know that the law enforcement are going to be pissed that this is out. And for anyone that is not a member of their page, it's going to be released on September 2nd for public view. So on September 2nd, you will be able to see it just on the regular YouTube channel. I think it's like $7 a month if you want to be a member on their YouTube channel. I just pay it because it's just something I think is nice to do for them. My husband used to be on the rescue squad, and he likes to watch their videos. My husband used to do stuff like this, so he likes to watch their videos. He did a lot of recoveries and stuff when he was on the force and on the rescue squad. So it's just something we do because it's how we think we can help on our budget. So if you can't afford that, it will be out September 2nd for public view. So you'll get to see that. But it raised a lot of concerns. Somebody said something about writing in blood with a knife. I missed that. I don't remember seeing that. If anybody has any information on that, put it somewhere in a comment after this loads. I don't remember that. But also I have like 5,000 questions running through my brain when I'm watching these things. So I'm sure that Allegedly Innocent will also watch this and also do a very thorough step-by-step through this. She's super. I'm just baffled by this woman. I just really have enjoyed what I've watched of her so far. So I'm looking forward to see what she says about this. But I will say I have more questions now than I had before, but I have a better direction. And while people like to call me stupid and they don't understand who I am, I'm a retired parole officer and a retired counselor. I supervise murderers and sex offenders, every felony level offender I've supervised, but I did really well with the violent men. And then I counseled youth in state's custody who were there for trauma and addiction issues. And I also taught cognitive behavioral therapy to the violent male offenders. So I do have a background in this. This is what my career was before my neuromuscular disorder tanked me and almost killed me. So I do have a history in this. I do have my master's in psychology, and I was supposed to be, if my body hadn't given out, I was going to be doing forensic psychology with the Department of Corrections about how to better assess offenders and strategically place them in custody so that we didn't have all this security threat group alignment and creating like sending good offenders to summer camp that learn really bad habits from the really bad offenders and then go out and wreak havoc in their communities, or getting the younger kids and putting them in the wrong level of supervision in the prison and then having the older ones manipulate them into aligning with the security threat group, and then when they get out they owe them 5, 6, 10 years of service, and they go back into the communities and they create horrible instances and things in their community, far worse than what was there before. So we were going to try to take avenues to look at those things and try to lower the probability of the problems in the prisons leaking back out into communities. That's what I was going to be doing. But my buddy decided he wanted to kill me several times, and now I'm at home and going crippled, and my organs are being attacked by this neuromuscular disorder, which is why some days you don't see me, and every time you do see me, I'm seated because I don't walk that well. But I do have a history in this. I do have a career in this. I know I look like a sweet little domesticated angel. I'm not. I'm a heifer. So just be aware. I use this face to play dumb and get a lot of information. It worked really well for me when I was an officer. It's a very trusting face. I got a lot of information I shouldn't have had because I look so sweet and endearing, but I'm not. And I do have a good way of looking at things because I've seen so much in my career. And something just tells me this is all off. So I want everybody to put your thinking hats on. I want you to go out into your communities, start asking the people that have badges in your communities, that have positions of authority in your communities, how would you have handled this if it had happened here? What would you have done differently? How are you going to make sure this doesn't happen to our children here? Start asking these hard questions. And then parents, talk to your children. Tell them about the bad crap that happens in life. Tell them about the evil people out there. You can't protect them forever. You might as well prepare them for the world they're going to walk into instead of allowing them to walk into it ignorant and blind. My kids knew by the age of 12 that there were evil people that walked among us, and they had to be careful. And it did them a great service because they were prepared to handle that. And it did not shock them when they became young adults and they had to start handling all this other stuff in life. And then they had to also learn this huge, scary thing. They had time to acclimate. Please talk to your children. Please prepare them for the real world and all the emotions people have, the physical aggression people have. Please teach them how to protect themselves. Women that have young daughters, please, specifically those beautiful little thin blonde-headed girls. I had one of them too. Teach them how to be lethal. Teach them how to hurt people. Teach them how to scream bloody murder. Teach them how to use their body as a weapon. Teach them to be creative if they get in a scuffle in the field. Send them to jiu-jitsu. My God, do something to help them. But don't send them out into the world helpless. And I think we're doing that a lot lately. And don't send them out in the world and with them thinking the most important thing is how they look and that they draw attention. Because if you knew where they were drawing attention from 99% of the time, you would not wish that upon them. Tell them that attention is 9 times out of 10 a negative thing, and that the person that's going to love them and treat them well for the rest of their life, they're going to see the beauty through whatever they have on. They're going to see their soulmate through whatever clothes they have on. They're going to find their loved one. They don't have to have on $400 of fake eyelashes, nails, makeup, the tightest jeans to where a fart bubble couldn't escape, and showing their tatas. Teach your children modesty. And I'm not saying that Kylie was not modest, but there are certain things I saw her in that I would not have let my child out of the house with. And kids will sneak and do these things, but parents, you got to do your homework and be aware. You got to be a PI when your kids start going out of the house. You got to have a little bit of distrust so that you can make sure you're parenting good. You got to stay after them. And that's just a reality to keep them safe. Everybody was like, I couldn't do that to my child. We have an honest relationship. I've never met a teenager who has an honest relationship with their parent. Just understand, teenagers do not normally speak honestly to their parents. They will tell you what you want to hear, and they will tell you enough that you want to hear that it keep you off their back. But they have a society unto their own, and they live a life unto themselves. And you better learn how to breach the sanctity of that and be a little bit nosy to protect them. Because this is what happens when you allow them to have dual lives and dual existences. And it's sad. It's sad. And it needs to be something that parents are aware of. And my heart goes out to this family. I think that they lived in a bubble, in a beautiful, in that beautiful place, that lodge. I think that they felt secure because it was a small area. I think they were lulled into thinking they all were safe and that nobody would harm them. And that place was just a sanctuary. And they met so many people that came in that were great friends and new additions. And they never really met anybody that was really bad. They had no idea they were raising their daughter up with over 300 people that would turn their back on her in a minute's notice. Work on your communities, build them up. But I recommend everybody go donate, join the site, watch the video, make your own assumptions. Don't believe anything you hear, even from me. Go do your own research, go watch your own stuff, make your own decisions. This is just my opinion and how I view this stuff. But also take the time to understand that this is not an isolated incident and you need to protect your loved ones and your children as well. This is not something that just happens to one person on the other side of the nation. This is something that can happen to any child anywhere on the world. So I think that's about all I have to say. And I hope that you all go and watch the AWP video and donate and join their channel. They're doing great stuff. I really want you to see their body language. I really want you to see their facial expressions. I really want you to see their tone of voice. And I really want you, the thing that really told me they knew something was up is when they found the car before they identified that it was the car. But as soon as they found the vehicle, they went dark. They turned all tech devices off and they shut down. They didn't notify anyone. They did that for a reason too, because that is somewhat abnormal for them as well. I know they didn't want to startle anyone that was in the area because the reservoir was actively being used that day, but they also did that for a reason. So there were a lot of things that stuck out to me. So go watch it. If you have to wait till the second, I understand. But if you've got like $7 to donate to them, join their site, watch it. It's the best $7 you'll spend. And give these guys a boost. And while I don't always agree with maybe every aspect of how they handle things, they're doing a service that no one else is doing. And they're helping families in a way that no one else is helping them. So $7 a month is not going to break you, and it does a whole lot of good for them. So that's about it. We may discuss it later after other people do deep dives and you all have more questions, but that's my rant. That's my mama bear and ex-law enforcement rant. So I probably will have more thoughts on it later, but that's just where my head has been since I watched it this morning. And I'm sure as I let the trails run in my head, I will come up with other questions and other concerns. But when this loads, and you can comment below if you have questions, concerns, you caught something that you think I need to see, or you caught another video that you think explains something better, because I do go on tangents and I do hillbilly it down. And if you think someone expresses it better, please put it below and I will go watch them. It doesn't, if you see somebody that thinks did a better job, it's not going to offend me. Tell me and I'll go watch, because there are people that do better jobs at explaining this. This is just how I come across. So I appreciate everybody spending your time with me, because it's something you can't get back. And I'm probably going to be quiet unless something big happens the rest of the night, because I'm washing baby clothes and getting baby clothes ready for our new arrival that's just any minute going to show up. We're just waiting for mama to pop. So keep us in your prayers. Keep Kylie's family in your prayers. Keep AWP in your prayers. And yeah, I need to look online to see if there are petitions or something we can start signing to have these law enforcement investigators or something. Let's go see if we can make a movement to say, hey, something? What the heck? And get them looked at. So that may be something that I talk to a couple people about, because something smells rotten to me. I don't like it. I'll shut up there. Y'all have a good evening. Bye, guys.